Okay, welcome to Ask the Expert. Today we have Miss Catherine Brink as our guest. Welcome, Miss Brink. I'm sure that my number of viewers on a number of continents will enjoy having you on the show today. First of all, we have brought you on as our personal finance expert. So, maybe to start off, you could tell us a little bit about your qualifications for that position. I know that you teach, a subject or subjects that have a lot to do with money and business. You live in a home where one person spends a lot of money on Legos, and you have to kind of be in control of that. So, talk about, for just real quick, like what makes you a personal finance expert?
Well, for starters, I do have a bachelor's in business administration from Georgia College and State University, for which I had to take, go Bobcats, for which I had to take multiple financing classes. So, accounting, managerial accounting, business finance, all that good stuff. So, got some experience there. I also am a business education teacher. So, I do teach marketing also at Hillgrove High School, and a lot of what we talk about in that class is personal finance too. So I've learned it. I teach it, and also I manage a household and their personal financing. Right, Mr. Brink?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right. So, next question. Tell us exactly what subjects you teach, because we might be interested in taking those classes in high school.
Well, if you go to Harrison, you can take them. If you go to Alatoona, sadly, they did not offer the classes that I teach.
Okay.
But I teach marketing principles, intro to sports and entertainment marketing, and also advanced sports and entertainment marketing. And I'm the work-based learning coordinator and DECA advisor. And a lot of DECA is about finance.
What
But
is DECA?
it is like FBLA, if y'all are familiar with that, but it's specifically for marketing students. So it's a co-curricular club. And we compete and we travel and we do tons of fun stuff. We do like big events at Hillgrove and stuff too. So, but also where I used to teach, I did teach, I also taught marketing principles, but then I taught advanced marketing and entrepreneurship as well. So got a little experience with business finance with that one too. So at Harrison, you can take both of those pathways, either the entrepreneurship pathway or sports and entertainment. But like I said, at Alatoona, they do not offer marketing.
Cool.
Yep.
And where did you go to high school?
I did go to Harrison.
Interesting.
Go Hoyas.
Interesting.
Yep.
All right. The impenetrable walls. All right. So, tell us, Mrs. Brink, what was your favorite book in middle school?
My favorite book in middle school?
Yep.
Well, my favorite book ever was the Harry Potter. Uh,
Which one?
but well, when I was in middle school, they weren't all out. So it was the first one because I'm an old lady.
Okay.
So the Sorcerer's Stone, also known as the Philosopher's Stone, if you like the British version, which
Okay.
he's British. So
All right. Cool. Favorite music that you listen to right now?
I don't even have time to listen to music because we have a baby. But I mean, in general, I do love country music.
Okay.
Yep.
Favorite artist?
Oh my gosh, Mr. Brink, you're being a
This
pill.
is what we do on our show. This is how it
Okay.
works.
My favorite country artist,
Yep.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like Eric Church a lot.
Okay,
He's a good one.
that's a respectable choice.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one.
Okay.
All right, cool. What Hogwarts house would you be in?
I would definitely be a Gryffindor.
Interesting. Go Slytherin. Okay.
But we
If
all knew you
you
were evil, so
if you could have dinner with, I heard that. If
I'm
you could
also have it on in the background right now, just so you know. So I keep looking at
Sweet.
Goblet of Fire.
Nice.
Anyways, moving on.
All right. If you could have dinner with anybody from history, who would it be?
Ooh, from history.
Yeah, dead or alive.
Okay, alive, it would be Queen Elizabeth,
Okay.
the current Queen Elizabeth II.
Okay.
Because I just think she's like the most fascinating human being on the planet. She's the only world leader who was alive during World War II that's still leading a country. And you just got to think of everything she's seen in her reign. I mean, we went from post-war Europe to this. I mean, it's just nuts. I think she's fascinating.
Okay.
And I love all the British things. So,
Fair enough. All right. What historical figure do I most remind you of?
Lord have mercy. I don't know. Some backwoods caveman. I'm just kidding. I mean, you love you some Teddy Roosevelt.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
true.
go with that one.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to our real questions now.
Okay.
First one, what in the world is income? What does that mean? When I hear that word income, what does it mean?
So for personal finance, which is what
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Income is money that you're bringing in to your home. So that would include money you make from your jobs. That can be a salary, those can be wages. Um, Sometimes you're making income once a month, sometimes you make income twice a month or once a week. So it's just money that you're bringing in to usually from your job or from the sale of some kind of asset.
Okay. All right, so it's like the money I'm making. All right.
Yep, you bring
Okay.
money you're bringing in.
Okay, so next question, kind of following that path. So what is a budget exactly, and how does that work?
All right, well, Mr. Brink, listen carefully. This is what a budget is. Okay, a budget is when you give yourself a certain amount of money that you are going to spend within a certain amount of time. Some people budget for a whole month. Some people will budget like every week, week to week, or like, once every 2 weeks. But it's the amount of money that you're going to spend within a time frame. And what you would do is you would kind of divvy up that money to the different things that you're going to spend it on. So that might be like fun things like going to the movies or buying video games or whatever you're going to do. That might be like for your parents is going to be something like buying groceries or paying for the house. So a budget is just a way to plan out your money for a period of time and keep it to a certain amount for that certain amount of time.
Okay, cool. All right, so kind of going off of that, do you think it's a good idea for me to save some of my income? What are the benefits of that?
Oh yeah, everyone should save. So the goal, the rule of thumb, and of course this is like the minimum, is that you should save 10% of all of that money that is income that you're bringing in. You should set aside 10% of that money to go back into savings. And there's lots of different ways to save. It doesn't just have to be a savings account, which is what most people use. But there are other ways you can save your money and actually help to grow your money over time. But the rule of thumb is you should try to save at least 10% of that money you bring in.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. You actually answered my next question too.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, let's see. All right, so I'm told
Mm-hmm.
that a basic principle of effective personal money management is to live within one's income. What in the heck does that mean?
That means that you should not spend more money than you make, right? That's smart because if we spend more money than we make, then we're in debt. And debt means that we owe someone money. So the goal would be you don't want to owe people money, right? You want to live within what we call our means. So whatever you make, that should be budgeted to those different things that you need to spend that money on. And you should try to live within that budget. And that way you don't ever owe anybody anything.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of touched on the next question too. So this thing called debt, like if I'm owing money somewhere, kind of what give me some examples of like what that would look like, and then tell me how people manage it effectively.
Well, pretty much, at this point in your life in middle school, you don't have any debt. I mean, you don't. But as you become an adult, one day you will have debt. You will owe somebody, probably a bank, maybe a credit card company, maybe one day you get student loans and you have to pay those back. You will owe somebody money. And not all debt is the same. So that's an important thing to know. Sometimes debt is just a way to invest in your future. So, like going to college, a lot of people have to get loans for that. You have to go into debt to go to college. But at the end of the day, you're going to leave with a college degree and a job so you can pay that debt back. So that's not necessarily a horrible thing um, on its own. But you should be really careful before you ever do anything that puts you into debt, because you need to be realistic with yourself about how you're going to be able to pay it back. Um, but certain types of debt are really hard to pay off, like credit cards. So most of y'all's parents have credit cards. I'm sure they all have a credit card. You pretty much have to have one these days, the way that the world works. But you can go into a lot of debt if you don't manage things like credit cards properly, and it can take you a really, really long time to pay it back. And at the end of the day, you didn't really get anything beneficial from it, like a college degree or a house. You just spent too much. So, certain types of debt are going to happen, but responsible people pay it off the way they're supposed to, and it doesn't really harm them in any way. But being careless with silly debt like credit cards can really hurt you, and take a very long time to pay off.
Okay, cool. And kind of on that note, what is credit? Can you explain to us what that means and kind of how it works?
Like credit from a credit card.
And credit in general.
Okay. Well, credit in general means that it just means somebody's lending you money. They're giving you money to spend, and it's kind of up to you, I guess with credit cards, how you spend it. Now credit is again, it's not a bad thing all the time, because it helps you build something called a credit score. I don't know if you're planning on asking me about a credit score. Okay. So a credit score is this number. You've probably seen commercials like Credit Karma, where they're like freecreditreport.com, all that stuff. Okay. When you're like, why do people care about this? Well, it's because this number basically represents how good you are with money. So what that means is if the number is really high and it's really good, that like a bank or like a auto dealer, if you go to buy a car, like they're going to help you to get what you need to buy those things that you want, like a house or a car. So you want that number to be big because it shows you're good with your credit. Now, again, credit means that somebody gives you money and then you pay it back. That's what credit is. So credit cards, I actually have one right here. Like credit cards, that's credit. Getting a loan for a car, that's credit. Getting a loan on a house, that's credit. So it's money that you're given and you pay it back. That's what credit's all about.
Okay. Very cool. Well, that kind of concludes the questions that I have for you, personal finance expert. So I want to say thank you very much for coming on the program today. We appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording now, but please don't hang up so that I can make sure this goes correctly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.